The tabernacle was the dwelling place for God's Holy Spirit. But as believers today, we are now the dwelling place for God's Holy Spirit. The Apostle Paul wrote to the Corinthians and said, "Don't you know that you're the temple of God, that the Spirit of God dwells in you?" The tabernacle and the temple had three main sections. It had an outer court, then it had an inner court, then it had a Holy of Holies. Your tabernacle, your temple, also has three sections. How can that be? Think about it. You're made up of body, soul, and spirit. The temple priests were responsible for guarding and protecting the tabernacle. According to Revelations 1:6, you and I are kings and priests. We're called kings and priests unto our God. And as such, we have responsibilities for guarding and protecting our temple, our tabernacle. The temple in the Old Testament, contrasting to the tabernacle, had 5 gates. And so do you. Well, think about these parallels. Think about these messages. The only way you got access into the temple was to enter through one of the 5 gates into the outer court. And then, if you were a priest, you would pass through the outer court into the inner court. And once a year, if you were the high priest, you entered into the Holy of Holies on the Day of Atonement. It's the same way with your body, soul, and spirit. Through our body, soul, and spirit, we access God through one of our 5 gates. What are your 5 gates? God created each one of us with 5 natural senses. We see, we hear, we touch, we smell, we taste. As God's appointed priests over your own body, your temple, your tabernacle, it's your job to be the watchman on the wall of your own temple. And just like the temple priests, it's your responsibility to do what? To keep anything unclean from entering your temple. Beware of the approaching enemy. Close those gates to your temple to protect yourself from the oncoming enemy. You know, the sad fact is that most Christians today, we've done a poor job of guarding our gates. Think about it. We've looked at things God never intended for us to look at. We've listened to things we have no business listening to. We've touched things we should never have touched. We've tasted things God never intended for us to taste. We've spoken words that have no business coming out of our mouths. And then we sit back and we wonder, why? Why are we poor? Why are we sick? Why are we wretched? Why are we blind? It's because we haven't stood watch as priests over the 5 gates of our tabernacle. We've permitted the enemy, it's sad to say, to set up camp in our lives. My friend, God calls you to be a priest. He calls you to be a watchman on the walls of your temple. He calls you to stand guard against the enemy. We're going to talk a lot more about your gates and the significance of them tomorrow.